Guys, this is a big shave because I've got this huge brush and about everything on this shave is new, as in I haven't tried it yet, except for this Astra blade. I think it's got 8 uses on it already, and so this will be number 9. We're trying Highland Springs Soap Company for the first time. We are trying Haircut and Shave Company for the first time, and this is a huge 35 millimeter Thayers brush that I've never used before. I got it recently in a purchase, and it's kind of too big for my soak cup. You know what's funny? I had this in my this is a yogurt cup that I yanked the labels off of, and it's perfect for almost all brush soaking scenarios because the smaller diameter top keeps the handles from just laying over to the side and gets much more even waterline leveling because of that. And 28 millimeter brushes don't have a problem with it. You know, it only starts to maybe have a little problem if you've got a really big handle, but even this one works okay in it, right? But that you see how much water is left in that? Not a lot, right? Well, when the brush was in it, the water was up to here. The brush took up so much space. It's a 35 millimeter brush. It's a 4125 from Thayers. It's a 2-band, as you can see. Looks like it's going to be holding a good bit of water. I mean, that'll be interesting to see how this handle works for me. If its size is a good thing, you know, that'll be neat to see. I wanted to get another scent from APR. I've enjoyed several of the APR collaboration efforts that have happened, like Grapefruit with Southern Witchcrafts and APR, and some of the straight APR soaps that I have, like maybe Torchwood or something like that, and a couple of the others. He's just, I believe Dan is the guy who runs that, and he just seems really good, adept at putting together scents, right? Well, he's kind of gone off the grid for a little while lately, but a month or two ago, I just decided to get to seek out another one for him, and it happened to be Portal. Eclipse was available, and it's in a company that I've never tried before. So I thought, well, that's cool because it'll kind of knock down 2 birds with 1 stone. And Eclipse sounded like a really good scent. It's a brand new puck. Oh yeah, lots of bass notes, lots of like leather and kind of like a musk and amber and wood and that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun. Eclipse. So this is a collab with Highland Springs and Australian Private Reserve. It is tallow. Let me make sure, yeah, Highland Springs Soap.ca. And make sure I was reading that abbreviation right. I'd hate to give you guys the wrong name about the person who created the company. All right, so we're going to be taking that massive brush and working it into this soap puck here. Also, this is a recent trade, Haircut and Shave. I have seen their razors around for, I don't know, a year now. And I've avoided them because most of the handle shapes that I've seen, their default kind of handle shape has this, it's nothing like this. It has this little part up here that you can grab. Then it gets skinnier. Then it gets bulbous right here. Then it gets skinny and turns into a trumpet at the bottom. And I never really liked that design very much. And so it was very easy to stay away from that brand. But the owner of this one responded to my call out for trades for the carbon razor that I was gifted as a prize in the Lather games for this year. It turned out to just be a little too rough for me, a little too much blade chatter. It didn't feel great to shave, and such a valuable razor, such a wonderful piece, beautiful. I wanted it to find its way into better hands. I wasn't going to sell it because it was a gift, a very generous gift from the guys at Carbon Shaving, and I did contact them before I put it up for trade, and just to keep everything on the straight and narrow, right? I wasn't going to profit from their gift at all, and so this is another titanium razor, just like that carbon was, and this one is the Z074 titanium, pretty cool, and I'm so glad. I think I'm going to be very glad that this handle is the one that it came with, because that carbon was so light. It was almost too light. I want something with a little bit more substance. Now, I was sure appreciating the fit and finish of the carbon. I was appreciating the nimbleness. But if you're going to have a big old thick handle like this, put it in titanium, and then it kind of everything equals out, right? If this handle were in stainless, I think it would be a little too heavy to use. Okay, and so we got the head here. The Haircut and Shave Company puts out their razor in this cool plastic foam protector, like shock proof almost type case. Just a beautiful design here. Pretty standard design for the top cap. There's not too much special there. Most companies kind of go with that type of design. And then it's noticeable when the top cap is assembled that there is this void on the ends. And it kind of looks a little strange once everything's put together. And I don't really know why they did that. Maybe to reduce weight, maybe to try to look a little different than everybody else. It doesn't really need a drain hole or anything right there. Maybe that's why they put it there, to make it easy to clean, make it easy for water and suds to wash out of there. I'm not really sure. They did some nice engraving on the bottom to tell you about the maker, and it feels light as a feather. They did a great job of buffing all the corners down, and the finish looks very nice. Z074 TI5. I looked up the TI5, and that is a grade of the titanium, apparently, made in the USA. Now, Haircut and Shave Company, I mean, that's kind of a dumb name. But maybe there weren't too many names left, Maybe they didn't have a lot to choose from. It's definitely not very unique, right? Not too creative, but perhaps by being general, they're trying to hopefully become a big name in razor making and that kind of thing, and then that leaves them room to grow. I don't know what their thought process was. This is the Astra, and it's the etched version, the Astra Platinum. Am I able to show you guys? I think I'm showing you the right. Yeah, the other side is blank. So this is the side with the laser printing on it. So we'll just put that down. The little rails go right where they should. I imagine the alignment here is going to be perfect. Now, one of the things I always gripe about is when the blade edge doesn't have a lot of support coming close to the edge of it. And these big old cutouts, you can see a lot of blade in there that's unsupported. However, I'm hoping that the support offered by these two pieces, on the blade side, of course, there's that flat side that the blade lays on. I'm hoping that it holds down. And indeed, the reports I had from the user who had it said that it was smooth. And so hopefully it's not going to be scrapey like the carbon was. Or I might be looking for another home for this one. Until I find out if it's going to work for me, I'm going to keep using this nylon spacer. Workmanship seems very nice on this razor. The blade tabs are covered It's not a big deal for me. I don't care. I often want them exposed so that I can move the blade around, remove it safely, that sort of thing. But so we'll see how that goes. The Z on this one stands for zero blade exposure, and the 74 is the gap. And so that means that if you were to take a straight edge like this, lay it on the top curve, top cap of the razor, and slowly lower it down until some part of it here touches the safety bar, then at that exact point, the blade edge would also be touching the straight edge. And so therefore, going across that line, the blade is not passing over it. If you do have a positive exposure, as you would slowly move this line down, you would hit the blade first before you would hit the safety bar. And indeed, with a positive exposure, it would make the blade stick out more, and so you could never touch all three at once. With a negative exposure, it means the opposite, that the blade is recessed past that line, and so you would be touching the top cap and the safety bar at the same time, and the blade would not be touching your straight edge. That's what that exposure stuff means. Now, you can say, well, hey, if it's at the same line, how can that shave, right? Well, it can, because your skin is supple. Because now I imagine that there are people who over press, who put too much pressure on the razor as they work, that could cause some kind of bow in their skin, which could make this razor too mild, right? But also that gap, that 74 gap. We've got Wolfman razors with a 46 gap or a 50-something gap. Well, that's because gap's not the only thing to measure aggression by. The blade position with the safety bar and all that stuff comes into play along with the gap. And so, looking forward to trying this guy out. I've sat it and looked at it for a few days and had to just hold back because I was trying the new long comb. This one's the short comb. I want to try it soon. And I've been pitting the Astra versus the Astra. The etched version versus the inked version. The older one versus the new. So far, and this razor is going to continue that test. I'm going to use it again with the inked version. So far, with two razors I've tested and some other miscellaneous shaves, the new etched version seems to be just as good as, sometimes maybe even a little better than the inked version, which is great news. All right. So I'm going to get my face wet. This huge brush. I actually took it out of that soak cup when I did to show it to you. I put it back into my rinse bowl instead of back in that cup. And because it's the fan shape, it just sat vertically without any problem. This is hilarious. This is so big. I'm going to shake a lot of the water out of it. Now, I have used Thayers brushes before, and I'll tell you what, the size 1 and the lower sizes are really quite small. I've got a silver tip in the size 1, and man, that thing is soft but small. This, I think, is the size 6. It's huge, 35 millimeter. I told you, it's got lots of bristles. So let's give this guy a brand new try. It's never been used. Let's try a 30-second load and see what happens. I may need to add a little bit more water. I'm going to load for 15 seconds, and then I may stop at 15. Let's put it that way. If I don't see it kind of, okay, we're bubbling up. So we are kind of connecting with moisture on the top layer of the soap. Sometimes if it's too dry, then I'll pause and add like a half a teaspoon of water. I'm going to go 35 seconds just to get a little bit more. And there we go. We'll see how much we get for all of this. Soapy goodness. All right, let's start mixing this up. Just see what we get. Now, a big brush like this is going to be able to soak up some of the lather, big knot, and so it can dry out a little quicker, and so I won't spend too much time before I add a little bit more water. Be on the lookout here for it not to come together as quickly, and so we'll go back to the tub if we need to. My Pereira bowl I discovered was terrific for medium-sized knots, but not for my large ones. And so this one definitely is one where I might stay away from the Pereira bowl. A little bit small for these types. It is starting to kind of cream up and stuff, but we don't have tons of lather going on. But let's just wait, because you know we're starting to see some. Let's not be too fearful. Just kind of add the water we think we're going to need and see where that puts us. The other Thayers handles that are this same handle type that are just smaller, they are kind of messy because they're relatively short. I'm curious if this guy, due to its extra size, is going to be a little easier to bowl lather. Well, we are starting to, this thing is expanding big time. I may not have a big enough face for this one. I'm going to keep adding water. We've got about 22 milliliters added so far. It looks like it's too thin. I can just go back to the soap puck. Of course, these shorter handles, you know, I was talking about the handles, they are definitely conducive to face lathering, not having to whip everything up in a bowl. Looking pretty good. Shoot, with this one, I need a bigger bowl. My guess was that the Highland Springs is kind of like the new breed of soap makers that are coming out now. I don't know if somebody's passing around a really good soap formula, but it just seems like a lot of the new ones are doing great with it. I know that Seaforth put out a bunch of formulas, you know, and Spearhead, you know, had a bunch of beta versions that they would ship out as kind of experimental research pieces. I know that Hub City Soap Company down in Texas, that guy started with a very nice formula, seemingly out of the blue. Several years ago, we had a lot of people, I think the guy behind LA Shaving Soap Company, I think he wrote some kind of soap maker's documentation and published it, at least on the web, and that inspired a bunch of people to try to make soap, and so they patterned it kind of after his recipe. And I think, you know, folks like maybe Dapper Dragon and Strop Shop and and those types. Definitely not a performance lather like some of the more contemporary versions, but there were a bunch of echoes in the soap community of that same formulation. And so I wonder if there's a common source with a lot of these new guys coming around. Well, this looks like it's going to be enough soap because this brush is holding a ton of it. So let's just roll with it. Get my face wet. Shaving off about a day of growth here. All right, I got my face wet. And it's so big. Look how big it is. See, look, it's even bigger than my head. All right. Now, with this goatee, I kind of have a narrow tract of land anyway. But I've got a big head. So we'll just kind of see how everything goes. It's almost like a novelty brush. But it came with some good soaps in a big old lot purchase, and I knew that I'd be able to sell. There were two of the soaps that I knew I would sell. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be selling this brush. And by the time I subtracted the things I was going to sell, it made it a good, fun idea to try, because I have another Thayers brush that's the size smaller than this, maybe even 2 sizes smaller. It's still quite large. And I thought, well, if I really like this one more, I can sell the other one, That's what we do. Well, this is kind of going better than I expected. I kind of saw this thing and I thought my other Thayers brushes, including one that's this same model but just smaller, just by a little bit, it doesn't have as much flex as this one does. Do you see that big splay that's going on here? The splay is very easy here. Haha, I want to add water to the brush. Well, there's so much brush at play. It's not going to just run through the handle because this brush has its own zip code. Well, the soap is feeling very nice. It does feel like a good quality soap. Feels creamy. Feels like I got the water pretty close to right. Looks like I probably could have added a little bit more. Now, if you have a bowl, one of the nice things about having a bowl, if you discovered you're kind of generating some concentrate on your face, you can just kind of wipe off the extra in the bowl, and then you may not have as much dripping out, falling on your counter, or what's more of a nuisance, slinging across your rim. I'm really enjoying the softness here, the ease of the easy splay. I might be keeping this honker around. He's so big I might have to give him a name. Maybe we'll have a naming contest on YouTube. Wow. Wow. Let's even add a little bit more. Spearhead is kind of like this, where it's one of the modern soaps that also can take a whole bunch of water and stay creamy and delicious. And so it seems like this one is doing the same. I just loaded for 35 seconds, so it looks like we're going to be having plenty of soap to do the job. I should have figured it because this is just such a big knot, but all right, well, I'm going to smooth out the layer, get rid of this because that's just going to be wasted. That looks great. It's got nice cushion to it. How's the slickness between my fingers here? It's got a nice level of creaminess to it, a silky kind of fuzzy feel to it. I think I like it. I think I do. I was kind of trusting in this soap base. It had good vibes kind of from the internet. I didn't do a lot of research in it, but I'd seen it around a little bit. it seemed like a base that was going to perform well. And because I didn't want to make the first use of this razor one with a dud soap, right? So here we go. It's got an Astra with about 8 or 9 uses on it. And it has the, I think this is the Etched Astra blade. All right. First pass, about a day's worth of growth. Ooh, nice. Not hearing very much blade chatter. It's moving through the hair nicely. You know, the carve that has a neutral exposure is the B plate. Just to give you kind of a comparison. Feels nimble on in my hands. It's feeling right now a little slow on my face, but that could be the lather. That could increase with these future passes, which are going to be a little bit more hydrated. Well, that was very comfortable. The sound and the feel led me to believe that it was cutting as well. So, cool. All right, let's rinse. This is the only brush that has made my 150 millimeter, I believe, is the interior diameter of this extra large version of Roger Quintero's lather bowl. And this pretty much captures the whole, encompasses the whole bottom of the surface there. That's a big knot, but I'm enjoying it. It's splaying easily. The tips are nice and soft. I kind of expected when I saw all those tips, when I saw all those fibers, I expected it to be backboney because of all the density there. But it's not. And I'm really happy about that. Kind of expected it to have that backbone and I would just have to pass it on pretty quickly. I guess that's what happens when we try things sometimes. All right, Haircut and Shave Company. The carve has more substantial side view, a lot more bulk in terms of the safety bar, that sort of thing. This one has a very minimal safety bar. So maybe that's why it feels the way it does on the face. So let's just see what we get this time. Now the first one, I believe I was pretty, getting the angle was pretty intuitive. Maybe those cutouts are helping for water drainage during rinses and things like that. The lather looks really good. Look at the way it's kind of almost dripping off the razor. That's a good sign. Well, I wasn't sure about trading my carbon razor for a brand that I hadn't even tried yet. The first impression, I'm really liking it. I'm also liking the scent, man. This is a welcome strength to the scent on this Eclipse. It is, 6 out of 10, and a lot of soaps are not that strong. This is manly and all those good words. Leathery. What are some other notes? I don't know. Let me get a little water on my face though. Now something I'm picking up along the way is it seems like maybe this soap base has put a little bit of a focus on the post-shave properties Maybe that's what that fuzzy silkiness kind of feeling was in the beginning. I don't mind it as long as it doesn't hamper the process of the shave, as long as it keeps me with a fast razor that's just very slick. Anything that slows you down is gonna, in my opinion, gonna invite irritation because of the friction and stuff. This razor seems to be nimble. The knurling is not too aggressive. I like that. I like the feel here. And even though it's neutral, it's not too, it's not really too mild. I mean, I'm a fan of mild razors, and so I'll bet there are going to be some people on the other end of the spectrum who like aggressive razors who are going to say this is too mild. This is too mild. I can't get a good shave with it. Well, if I definitely think there's probably some guys out there who have a really thick lather because they like dry lathers, and so then the safety bar might have a tendency to ride on top of that dry lather, and they might lose, I don't know, a quarter of a millimeter or something in ability to be close to the skin, and so that could make a big difference. But my lathers are wetter and slicker, and so I don't have that issue. Well, very comfortable. The Astra seems to be a good counterpart with this razor. Yeah, there definitely is kind of some moisturization going on. Not a lot of secondary slickness, so I would reapply if you're going to go back and do touch-ups, or just take like you can see, a few of the scraps and then shave with it. It might still need a little bit more water, but this one also could just be acting this way because of the butters and oils and things like that, and in an effort to have a good post shave. So where's that tub? Let's take a look at the ingredients and see if we can find some that might be related to that. Starting from the top, shea butter, castor oil, glycerin, perfume, silk peptides, vitamin E. Not a big ingredients list. Well, that's pretty cool. Kind of focusing on simplicity here. I know that I've heard, Barrister and Mann threw some castor oil in some of its formulations and that definitely changes the composition depending on how much is in there. Big fan of the scent here. Let's get a rinse, good rinse now, and take a look at the closeness. Well, if I put some shaving performance metrics in place, one of them is the slickness and the speed of the razor, the ability to provide good glide. And in that sense, at least based on this first impression, that's all, just a first impression, this one may be a little bit on the medium scale, not really high proficiency there. But in terms of the, post-shave moisturization, it's high. In terms of the ability to take a lot of water, it's high. And so other aspects of it are definitely high quality. And oh man, this scent, ooh, I like it. I like it. Also on my list of likes is this Haircut and Shave Z074 razor. It just did terrifically. The Astra Etched blade is a great match with it. I got a comfortable shave. I'm not walking away with any irritation. The brush, you saw how happy I was with that. So wonderful. Just a good shave today. So glad you could join me. We'll be using this gear again in the near future for sure. That was a good one. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's something good here for you. I sure enjoyed it. You guys, Take care and good night.